Hi, I'm Craig Oram. I'm from Billings, Montana. I'm a father of four children, from a teenager down to a 5-year-old, and we've been involved in teaching self-government for, well, since about 2023. And I am thrilled and excited for the opportunity to be able to share my perspective of teaching self-government as a father. So teaching self-government for me was a turning point in my life. While my children are great, and I don't consider us to have had any major challenges that some parents have and trials. We did struggle with those the day-to-day challenges, communication challenges, discipline challenges. And so I'd like to just kind of dive back and share some of the things we struggled with before we knew about teaching self-government. Something that I personally struggled with quite a bit was when I felt like my children ignored me. So my oldest, Sophie, is very strong-willed and free spirit, very just fun and energetic, all over the place. When I would give her an instruction or ask her for her help, often she was just kind of somewhere else, and wasn't paying attention, or she would acknowledge me, and but then easily get distracted by something else. And so things didn't get done. I felt disrespected and frustrated because of the frequency in which that would happen. And I didn't know how to handle it. Often I would just default to getting pretty grumpy, and and sometimes yelling and just expressing disappointment. Um, Things that when I think back on those now, I just even after, if there was ever a time where I had yelled at Sophie for being frustrated that she just wasn't listening, that look in her face, and often like if there were tears, I just felt so horrible. I'd recommit myself to do better, but I'd often make those mistakes. Some other challenges I had were with another daughter of mine. She she's a little more quiet and timid than Sophie, and when something would happen and she would be sad or upset, she would withdraw within herself and she would just shut down. And so sometimes we'd go find Cammie in her room just sitting there with the angry or sad face, and she wouldn't say a thing. You would try to talk to her, try to understand, silence. And I remember my wife and I, out of desperation, would sometimes approach Cammie and say, Cammie, we're going to try to figure out what's wrong. Blink once for yes, blink twice for no. We're going to ask you some questions. And we'd sit there and try to ask her questions and figure out what was going on. All the time, this wasn't really helping her. I remember one specific time where we had all the kids at a store, a local sporting goods store, and it was time to go. And Cammie didn't want to go. And she had never done anything like this before, but she threw a fit. She threw herself on the floor, was pounding her hands on the ground and screaming. And I was just so embarrassed. All the parents looking around at us, like wondering what they're thinking of us, not knowing what to do. Essentially, I just picked her up and hauled her out. Since Grayson was very small, he would just scream, more so than any of the other kids. So if he was angry or upset, just scream. And it was nonstop and high pitched. It was so high pitched that I would get an alert on my phone from our home security system that the carbon monoxide detector was set off. I didn't know what to do to help him. He just sit there screaming. If I got frustrated with him, it would just get worse. And that was what he resorted to when he was angry or upset, just screaming. And we have many of the other challenges, trying to leave the house and spending 10, 15 minutes trying to find socks and shoes, trying to leave the playground or a play place. I felt like I was getting grumpy more often than I was helping to build up my children, and it was hurting my relationship with them. I was also frustrated because where are these skills? Like, who teaches these skills? Why do I not know what to do? I'm doing the best I can, but I just feel like I'm missing the mark here. So I followed some Instagram accounts that offered parenting advice, and I implemented some things and tried some things, but I just kind of accepted that this is how it was. That all dads struggle with these things, and that I just needed to learn to cope and just do the best that I could. Things for my wife and I were starting to get a little challenging. She was homeschooling, I worked from home, and throughout the day there were just these challenges, and they kind of compounded, right? struggling with grace and screaming, struggling with not getting dressed and ready for the day, not following these instructions. I remember my wife just being so frustrated day after day of just trying to get everybody on board and following the program and working together. So things were kind of hard. And we had learned about this parenting class from some friends. And, when I thought about the parenting class, I was like, oh, it's just going to be like those other things. I see some of these people teaching these skills on Instagram and they might be helpful, but they're not really going to change anything. But it was an opportunity for a date night. So my wife and I were able to go. And so I said, okay, let's do it. Let's try it out. And there were snacks. So that was another incentive. So I was interested to see what would be taught in this class. And a TSG mentor was there leading it. And what I did not expect was how much that class would change my life. As the mentor started getting into the content, she started addressing the very challenges that my wife and I were going through and starting to discuss the solutions to those challenges. I felt the Spirit of God just confirmed to my heart that this is what we needed, that we were here for a reason, and that this was important. It was so powerful to me. So powerful that we went home and I was fully invested. We watched the video of Nicolene on the World's Strictest Parents, bought the audiobook for Parenting House United. We signed up for the Parenting Mastery course online, and then eventually we did the 3-day in-person conference. The principles and skills and everything taught in teaching self-government filled the gap in my fatherhood experience. I think the most important thing that I learned was that in order to help my children, I have to change myself. I have to learn to self-govern myself. I need to learn to be calm. I need to learn to set a proper tone so there's a feeling of love and trust between me and my children. The children were so great at helping us implement the program. It was rocky at first, as it is for everyone. We ran across a lot of challenges trying to understand how to properly exercise the skills, but they changed our lives. Those challenges I had with Sophie, with her not following instructions or feeling like I was ignored, that's gone. She knows and understands the steps for following instructions and accepting no answers. And while we're not perfect all the time, we have those skills and tools, and we know what to do when we're struggling to help us correct ourselves. I don't remember the last time Cammie kind of shut down and wouldn't talk about a challenge or what she was upset about. That's pretty much gone. And not only that, but I kind of always considered her the stubborn child, but not anymore. I can't remember the last time I thought about her being the stubborn child. It's amazing what those skills have done for her. And Grayson screaming is also a thing of the past. There are times when Grayson struggles, but he was able to realize that that wasn't what he needed to do to communicate. And now he knows how to approach us, how to talk to us when he is upset or frustrated, and he knows how to accept no answers, accept consequences, and he would much rather follow the steps and just move on. It used to be so frustrating thinking about what a consequence needed to be, or how do I help my child really overcome this challenge and see the right way that they should have addressed the problem that they had. Now we have the tools that we need to help us with this part of parenting, and we have the proper tone in our family. We understand, and the children understand the why. They want us to be a certain type of family, and they know how their behaviors contribute to that. It's impossible for me to condense my feelings and my gratitude for teaching self-government down into this short video, but I want you to know that it has changed my life. It's changed the life of my children. It's helped me to take the right steps to become the better father that I wanted to become. You just can't afford to let this slip by, so dig in and find out what teaching self-government will do for you.